Football was a huge thing, not just in Fayetteville. High school football was huge in Arkansas, the whole state back then. And to be a part of it, just to be a part of it, and eventually to get recognized, that wasn't necessarily something that I was ready for, was to be recognized like that.
I was 15. I was the proverbial new kid in town, sitting on the bleachers at the practice field with a group of guys that I really didn't know. And a man walked up, introduced himself as Doyne Davis, the head coach of the Fayetteville Bulldogs. We were no longer Woodland Cowboys and Ramey Indians, but we were Fayetteville Bulldogs. And by the way, Jim Elliott, come with me, you're going to the varsity. I didn't know who Jim Elliott was. This guy stood up and walked off. And I didn't see him much the rest of that year.
I came in as a sophomore and started off with the JV team. And after just a few days, they came down on the lower field and asked me to come up with the upperclassmen. And I wasn't expecting that, but up I came. And being a sophomore amongst the juniors and the seniors, it wasn't a challenge. It was just, I was the young kid up there. And I don't know, had there been any before, but apparently there hadn't been any in a long time, at least. Remembering back, I started playing quite a bit my sophomore year, but still had a long way to go physically, strength, speed, and endurance. So worked, for that. And then my junior year, I played both sides, and I had advanced physically, mentally, learned the game.
I was blessed by being small and slow, so I didn't start as a junior. So I'm sitting on the bench, and I realized that not only had the coach that had pulled him up to the varsity think he was pretty good, but as a junior, we'd built our defense around this guy. So we'll jump now to senior year, and I finally got some playing time and started. And I believe it was the Idabel game. Memories have merged and faded, but our first defensive series, I had some tackles. This is going to be a pretty good game. By the second defensive series, I had figured out why. The entire town of Idabel and perhaps all of McCurtain County, Oklahoma, thinks this guy's pretty good because they had assigned the entire offensive line to block him. And there was just nobody left to try to block me. And you might wonder why I'm trying to tell so many stories about me and that perhaps I am special. And I was. If I put on shoulder pads and picked up a football helmet and I walked out on the field with Jim Elliott, I was special. And I think if you talk with my teammates, the majority of them would tell you the same thing, that anytime we walked out on the field with Jim Elliott, we were special.
We all understood that when we met Jim in junior high, that he was a step ahead of all of us. With his football IQ, his physical ability, we all knew right away Jim was quite something. Looking at his overall size, his physical strength, his quickness on the line, unbelievable athlete, unbelievable. He surpassed every one of us.
Jim has always reminded me of Dick Butkus. He was big, he was fast, he was strong, and he played with a certain hostility.
Jim, first of all, was the best football player I've ever been around, by far. And he was known to be, on the field, sort of mean, and actually got a nickname called Mad Dog Elliott. Jim and I were playing a football game together. He was a year younger than me. I was a senior and he was a junior. He was playing a defensive tackle and I was playing nose man. I knew that I had hit this running back very hard, and the instant after I hit him, I saw a flash of light. So Mad Dog, what he had done is when he and I hit the running back, he went to hit the guy in the back with his fist, and he missed. And when he missed, it came through my face mask and hit me in my cheekbone and like to knock me out. That's where the bright lights came from. I'll never forget it as long as I live.
Junior year, or maybe the beginning of, I grew up with Linda and Betsy Broyles, and we would go to the Saturday home Razorback games, and we would sit with Barbara and Barbara Broyles. And then Barbara came to me one day and said, "Jim, I'm sorry, but you can't come to the game anymore because you're being recruited by the university. And I was disappointed about, not being able to go to the game, but still then not understanding fully, obviously, the rules. I always had, I was committed to the University of Arkansas from, as soon as I had the opportunity to commit before signing date. But I certainly wanted to be a defensive player. And that's what they recruited me for, was a defensive tackle.
And that is what makes Jim great. Everybody thought he was a great athlete. Doyne Davis thought he was as a sophomore. Our coaching staff as a junior, and half the world as seniors thought he was great. Great athlete. But to me, he was great because he made us special.